Rachel was just 6 years old, barefoot, dusty, and shaking as she walked into the billionaire's office. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling as she said, "Please, sir, I'm not here to beg. I need a job, so I can take care of my sick mommy. I don't want her to die." It was a bright Monday morning in the city. Cars honked. People hurried into tall glass buildings, everyone dressed neatly and holding expensive phones. The air smelled of perfume, fresh bread, and rushing time. But among the crowd, one person didn't fit in. A tiny barefoot girl walked slowly through the busy street, her feet dusty, her small hands clutching a black nylon bag. Her name was Rachel, just 6 years old. Her eyes were red from crying, her lips dry, but her heart, her heart, was strong. She wasn't there to beg. She came to look for work. That morning, her mother had fainted again from a strange sickness they couldn't name. At the clinic, the nurse had shouted, "If you don't bring money today, we'll send your mother away." Those words echoed in Rachel's head as she stood by the roadside, watching cars zoom past. She didn't know any rich person, but she had heard stories about Mr. Jaden Williams, the famous billionaire who owned the tallest building in the city. People said he was powerful, strict, and cold-hearted. Still, Rachel didn't care. She wiped her tears with the edge of her torn dress and walked straight into the big building everyone called Williams Tower. Inside, the marble floors shone like mirrors. The air smelled of air conditioner and money. People turned to stare at her, a doty little girl in a faded dress, barefoot, standing in the middle of luxury. "Whose child is this?" a security guard barked. "Go back home. This is not a playground." But Rachel didn't move. She looked up with trembling eyes and said softly, "Please, sir, I want to work. I'm not here to beg." The guard laughed so loud that people turned to look. "Work? You? Go home, small girl." But still, Rachel didn't go. She sat quietly on the cold floor near the reception, clutching her nylon bag like it was her only treasure. That was when Lizzie, a kind-hearted woman who worked as the CEO's secretary, noticed her. She knelt beside the girl. "Little one, what's your name?" "Rachel," the girl whispered, tears glistening in her big brown eyes. "My mommy is very sick. They want to chase her away from the hospital. I don't want money. I just want to work, to help her." Lizzie's heart melted instantly. She took Rachel's tiny hand gently. "Come with me," she said softly. People whispered as they walked by, some shaking their heads, others smiling sadly. The elevator doors opened, and Lizzie led Rachel to the very top floor, to Mr. Jaden Williams' office. Inside, the billionaire sat behind his massive glass desk, signing papers. His face was as cold and serious as everyone said. "Sir," Lizzie began nervously, "someone's here to see you." Without looking up, he snapped, "I'm busy. Tell them to wait or come back later." It's a child," she whispered. "She says she wants to work for you." Jaden froze. Slowly, he raised his head. And there she was, little Rachel, standing quietly, her dusty feet pressed together, holding a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing, a small picture made with crayons. It showed a little girl giving a flower to a tall man. Under it, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Please let me work. I will clean your shoes. I will help. My mommy is dying." Silence filled the office. Jaden stared at the drawing, then at the small girl before him. Her hair was messy, her cheeks dirty, but her eyes, they were pure. He slowly stood up. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice suddenly gentle. "I'm Rachel," she said softly. "I can wash, sweep, or run errands. Please, sir, don't let my mommy die. I don't want her to go like my daddy." Jaden's face softened. Something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he remembered his own daughter, the one he lost when she was just 6. He walked around his desk, knelt before Rachel, and took the drawing from her trembling hands. "You want to work?" "Yes, sir." "Then come," he said quietly, stretching his hand toward her. Everyone in the office gasped. The man who never smiled, the cold billionaire, just held a poor girl's hand. Jaden walked her downstairs himself, ignoring the stares and whispers. When they got to his car, he opened the door and said, "Let's go see your mother." Rachel's heart jumped with joy. She nodded quickly, holding his hand tightly as they entered the car. Inside the big black vehicle, Rachel sat beside him, her legs dangling above the floor. She kept stealing small glances at the man everyone feared. But today, he didn't look scary. He looked human. He kept staring at her drawing, tracing the crayon marks with his fingers. His hands trembled slightly. "Sir," Rachel whispered, "do you really want to help my mummy?" "Yes," Jaden said, turning to her. "What's her name?" "Her name is Mabel. She's my mommy, and my best friend. She never complains, even when she's crying." Jaden gave a faint smile, the first real smile he had shown in months. When they reached the hospital, he frowned. The walls were cracked, the paint peeling, and the nurses looked tired. Rachel ran ahead barefoot. "Room 8, she called. "That's my mummy's room." Jaden followed closely behind. Inside, a pale woman lay weakly on the bed, eyes closed. Rachel ran to her and grabbed her hand. "Mommy, I brought someone. He said he will help." Mabel opened her eyes slowly. "Rachel, where did you go?" "I went to find a job, Mommy," Rachel smiled through tears. "So you won't die like Daddy." Jaden stepped forward quietly. "My name is Jaden Williams," he said softly. "I'm Rachel's friend, and I want to help." Before Mabel could respond, a nurse entered angrily. "You again," she snapped at Rachel. "We told you. How much is the bill?" Jaden interrupted firmly. The nurse froze. 150,000 naira for treatment and 50,000 for previous bills." Jaden pulled out his phone. "Send the account details now. Move her to a private ward and call your best doctor here in 5 minutes." The nurse blinked. "So, are you a family member?" Jaden looked up sharply. "No. I'm the man who will shut this hospital down if you waste one more second." The nurse ran out immediately. Rachel looked at him in awe. "Sir," she whispered, "are you an angel?" Jaden knelt beside her. "No," he said softly, "but maybe you are." If you are enjoying this story, please hit the like button and share with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel for more interesting emotional stories like this one. Moments later, Mabel was moved to a cleaner room. Nurses who had shouted earlier now spoke kindly. Rachel sat beside her mother, holding her hand. Jaden sat quietly near the window, deep in thought. Something had changed in him, something he hadn't felt in years: warmth. Later that day, Lizzie arrived with new clothes for Rachel. Jaden also brought her food: jollof rice, meat, and juice. As she ate happily, she looked at him and asked, "Sir, can I still work for you?" He smiled faintly. "Why do you want to work so badly?" "Because I don't want to owe anyone," she said seriously. "And I want to help my mummy. Since you are helping us, I want to help you too, even if it's to sweep your floor." Jaden's chest tightened. This small girl had more dignity than most adults he knew. Just then, his phone rang. It was his board of directors. An emergency meeting. He sighed and stood up. "Rachel, I have to go now, but I'll be back tomorrow." "Okay, sir," she said, waving. Before leaving, Jaden placed a brown envelope beside Mabel's bed. Inside was 500,000 Nigerian nairas, enough for treatment and comfort. He didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away quietly. As his car drove off, Jaden stared through the window, thinking of the little girl who had walked into his building, and somehow into his heart. The next morning, the entire Jaden Williams group was buzzing with whispers. Secretaries, managers, and cleaners all had one topic: the mysterious little girl. "Did you hear what happened yesterday?" one staff whispered. The boss came in holding the hand of a small, dirty girl. "Who is she?" another asked. "Maybe his lost daughter." "No, they said she's some poor girl who came to beg for work." Laughter followed in corners. Some people mocked, some rolled their eyes, and others pretended not to care. But Lizzie, the kind staff who had brought Rachel to the office the day before, said nothing. She knew the truth, and her heart was still touched by it. At exactly 9:30 a.m., the elevator doors slid open. Every head turned. There she was, Rachel. But this time, she wasn't barefoot. She wore a simple pink dress that Lizzie had bought for her, and her hair was neatly packed into 2 fluffy puffs. She still held her little nylon bag, but her eyes looked brighter, her steps more confident. And beside her was Mr. Jaden Williams himself. He held her hand gently as they walked through the glittering lobby. The air went quiet. The sound of heels stopped, papers froze mid-E. Everyone just stared. She's back with the boss. This is getting strange. Jaden stopped halfway, turned toward the crowd, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is Rachel," he said clearly. "She is my special assistant, starting today. Anyone who disrespects her, disrespects me." The entire floor fell silent. Mouths hung open. Some people forced smiles, others looked shocked, and a few couldn't hide their envy. Jaden didn't care. He simply led Rachel to his private office, the biggest in the building. The room had glass walls, soft leather chairs, and a wide view of the city below. Inside, Rachel gasped. On a small table by the window were crayons, papers, and toys waiting for her. "I don't know how to use all these," she said shyly. Jaden smiled. "You'll learn." "Okay, sir," she said, smiling back, her small teeth showing. Later that day, Jaden had an important meeting with foreign partners. Rachel sat quietly in the corner, coloring in her book. The men discussed numbers, contracts, and figures. But Rachel's innocent eyes missed nothing. Suddenly, she stood up, walked gently toward one of the guests, and whispered, "So, your shirt is dirty at the back." The man froze. Everyone looked shocked. Then giggles broke out. But Jaden laughed, genuinely laughed. "Rachel has sharp eyes," he said proudly. "That's why I hired her." The meeting ended with smiles. But not everyone was happy. Outside the boardroom, Mr. Raymond, one of Jaden's senior managers, pulled Lizzie aside. "What's the meaning of all this?" he hissed. "Why is the boss turning a street child into an employee?" Lizzie looked him straight in the eye and said calmly, "Because that street child has more heart than some of us here." Raymond said nothing. He just frowned and walked away. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Mabel was recovering fast. Her new private room was clean and quiet. She could eat properly again, and for the first time in months, she smiled. A nurse entered with a grin. "Madam, your daughter is famous, oh. The man she came with, that's the richest man in this city." Mabel's eyes widened. "Rachel, with a billionaire," she whispered, both shocked and grateful. Tears filled her eyes. "God, thank you." Back at the office, Rachel turned to Jaden shyly. "Sir, can I call my mommy?" "Of course," he said, handing her his phone. Rachel dialed the nurse's number. When Mabel answered, her voice trembled with joy. "Mommy," Rachel said excitedly. "I wore pink today, and sir gave me work. I have a desk, with colors and juice." Mabel pressed the phone to her chest, crying softly. "My baby, thank you. Thank you, God," she whispered. That evening, Jaden drove Rachel back to the hospital. As he entered Mabel's room, He smiled warmly. "I hope you don't mind," he said gently. "She's very special. She reminds me of someone I lost." Mabel's eyes filled with tears. "So, I don't know what to say. Thank you. May God bless you." Jaden nodded. "Just get better. Rachel needs you strong." As he turned to leave, Rachel ran to her mother's bed. "Mommy," she said proudly, "he said I'm special." Mabel smiled weakly, touching her daughter's cheek. "Yes, my love, you truly are." The next morning, the tension at Jaden Williams' group was thick. People were still whispering about the little girl. But this time, someone else was watching quietly. Someone powerful. Her name was Cynthia. Cynthia was one of the company's top executives, a brilliant inventor whose ideas had made Jaden billions. She was confident, beautiful, and feared in the business world. People called her the Iron Lady. But Cynthia had a secret weakness, Jaden Williams himself. For 5 long years, she had admired him. She brought him coffee, worked late beside him, flew with him for meetings around the world. But no matter what she did, Jaden never noticed her, not the way she wanted. He never flirted, never smiled, never looked twice. Until now. When Cynthia walked into the office and saw Jaden sitting with a small girl on his lap, laughing softly as Rachel showed him a drawing, her heart burned. The sound of Jaden's gentle chuckle felt like betrayal. She froze at the glass door, fists clenched, anger rising in her chest. Then suddenly, she pushed the door open hard. Jaden looked up, startled. Cynthia. She didn't greet. She marched straight in and pointed at Rachel. "What is this girl doing in your office, Jaden?" Rachel flinched at her sharp tone. Jaden's face changed instantly. "She's not this girl. Her name is Rachel." "I don't care what her name is." Cynthia snapped. "Why is a child sitting on your lap during work hours? Why is she even here? This is a company, not a playground." Rachel quickly slipped off Jaden's lap and moved to the corner, clutching her crayon box, her eyes wide with fear. Jaden stood up, his voice calm but firm. "She's my guest. She has a desk here. She's helping with things I care about." Cynthia scoffed. "Helping? What can a 6-year-old possibly help with? Or is she replacing your team now? Maybe replacing me too." Jaden took a deep breath, trying not to lose his temper. "Cynthia," he said quietly, "you're one of the best minds in this company, but don't ever speak about Rachel like that again. She's been through more than you can imagine." Cynthia laughed bitterly. "Oh, so now you defend her. You've never smiled when I brought you success, but you're laughing over crayons and cartoons." Rachel's eyes filled with tears as she hugged her drawing tighter. Jaden's voice turned cold. "Cynthia, you're letting your emotions cloud your sense. I didn't bring Rachel here for your approval. She's not just any girl. She's special." Cynthia's voice broke. "Special," she said, her voice trembling. "Jaden, I've been by your side for 5 years. I've given everything to this company, and to you. But all it took for you to smile again was her." She pointed again at Rachel, her hand shaking. Just then, Lizzie walked in. "Cynthia, please," she said softly. "This child is not your enemy. She's just trying to save her mother's life. She came here looking for work, not love." Cynthia turned sharply. Then maybe she should try an orphanage, not a billion-dollar company. That was it. Jaden's eyes went cold as ice. "That's enough," he said firmly. "If you ever speak about her like that again, you'll be stepping out of this company." Silence fell like thunder. Even Cynthia froze. Jaden turned away. "You may leave now." Cynthia stood there, trembling with anger and heartbreak. Then she spun around and stormed out, her heels echoing loudly down the corridor. Lizzie rushed to Rachel and hugged her. "It's okay, baby. Don't cry." I didn't do anything wrong," Rachel whispered. No, you didn't, Jaden said softly, kneeling before her. You did everything right. He picked up her dropped crayon and placed it in her hand. Rachel sniffled, then smiled faintly. Thank you, Sir Jaden. Jaden looked into her eyes, and for a moment he saw a reflection of a daughter. Her innocence, her courage, her heart. And in that moment, he made a silent promise that he would protect Rachel, no matter what it cost him. Cynthia sat alone in her luxurious apartment, lights dim, curtains half closed. A glass of red wine rested in her hand, but she hadn't taken a sip in hours. Her mind was boiling. In front of her stood two men in black suits, her private investigators. They shifted nervously. Well, Cynthia said, voice cold. Talk. The taller man stepped forward with a brown file. Ma, the child's name is Rachel, but she is not the biological daughter of the woman in the hospital. Cynthia's eyes narrowed. Explain. The man opened the file. The woman, Mabel, works as a cleaner in a local eatery. 6 years ago, a newborn baby was abandoned behind a warehouse near a popular nightclub. Early morning, Mabel, who lived in a nearby slum, found the baby wrapped in dirty cloth, crying. Cynthia's grip tightened on the glass. She took the baby to a clinic. No one claimed the child. After weeks, Mabel kept her. No legal papers. Just word of mouth. Cynthia's lip curled. So the child is a street pickup. A nobody. The second investigator added softly. We traced a retired midwife from that clinic. She confirmed the story. Mabel has raised the girl alone since then. She loves her, but they are not related by blood. Cynthia leaned back, a slow, dark smile forming. Well, this changes everything. The shorter man cleared his throat. Should we do anything with the information? Cynthia stood and faced the city lights. I'm not a monster, she said slowly, but I know how to use the truth. She turned, eyes sharp. That little girl wants a job? Let's see what happens when the world hears she was abandoned and raised by a woman with no rights. Let's see if Jaden still keeps her beside him when this truth comes out. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Rachel hummed a soft tune, sitting close to Mabel. She scooped tiny spoons of hot soup, blowing gently before feeding her mother. Her smile was sunshine. Mommy, guess what? What, my love? Mabel asked weakly. Sir said I can sit in his big chair tomorrow. Really? Mabel laughed softly. He said I'm his little helper. Rachel beamed. You are more than a helper, Mabel whispered, blinking back tears. You are my gift. The best thing that happened to me. I love you, Mommy. And I love you more, my little angel. Outside, a man with a camera snapped photos through the window. He stepped back, dialed the number. I have the pictures. Cynthia's voice came calm and satisfied. Good. Soon everyone will know the truth. And when they do, that little girl will wish she never stepped into Jaden's life. The next day, Rachel wore a yellow dress with white shoes, a gift from Lizzie. Her hair was neatly braided with a tiny flower pin. She colored quietly at her small table. The door opened. Jaden walked in. Good morning, assistant, he said, giving a playful salute. Rachel giggled and stood. Good morning, boss. Jaden sat beside her, glancing at the drawing. Who is this one? That's you. That's me. And that's Mommy with her soup. Jaden laughed. Ah, you made me fatter here. A knock. Lizzie entered, face tight. So, there's something you need to see. She handed him a tablet. A screaming headline flashed. Exposed. Billionaire CEO takes in a fake child. Abandoned orphan found in warehouse, not real daughter of sick woman. Jaden's jaw stiffened. He scrolled. Photos of Rachel feeding Mabel. Harsh words. Sympathy scam. street girl, mother manipulates CEO. Rachel looked up, worried. So, what's wrong? Jaden set the tablet down carefully, then looked at Lizzie. Who did this? Lizzie swallowed. I don't know, so. Jaden stood, voice steady but dangerous. Call my lawyer. Send security to the hospital. Quietly. No one will use this child's past to destroy her future. Not on my watch. Across town, Cynthia leaned back in her chair and smiled to herself. This is just the beginning. Moments later, Jaden's door slammed. His heart pounded like a drum. Staff felt the tension in the air. Sir, are you okay? Lizzie hurried after him. He didn't answer. He marched straight to Cynthia's office and kicked the door open. Cynthia jumped, juice almost spilling. Sir? What? Jaden moved to her desk, slammed the tablet down, and pointed at the headline. Did you do this? Cynthia blinked, feigning shock. What are you talking about? Don't play games with me, Jaden snapped. You sent people to dig up Rachel's past. You followed her. You took pictures. You leaked this. Cynthia stood, arms folded. I didn't leak anything. I wanted the truth out. The company's reputation is at stake. Jaden's eyes blazed. You think I care about reputation more than a child's dignity? Cynthia hissed. She's not even her real daughter, Jaden. Mabel picked her off the street. She's a mistake. Bang. Jaden's fist hit the table. Everything rattled. Don't you ever call that girl a mistake again, he growled. If I find out you had anything to do with this, even once, you won't just be fired. You will be disgraced out of this company. Cynthia stared, speechless. She had never seen him like this. Jaden turned and stormed out, mind racing with anger and questions. One thing was clear now. He needed the full truth. It was already evening when Jaden Williams drove out of the city, alone. No security, no assistant, just him and his thoughts. His heart was heavy, his mind restless. He needed answers. The road led him to the outskirts of town, where the streets were narrow and dusty. The houses were small, the kind that told stories of struggle and survival. He parked in front of a faded brown door, Mabel's house. Inside, Mabel had just returned home from the hospital. She was still weak but smiling as she watched Rachel dancing around with a plastic spoon, pretending to sing. The sound of her laughter filled the little one-room apartment. Then came a soft knock. Rachel ran to the door, opened it, and her eyes widened. Sir Jaden, she shouted joyfully. Good evening, sir. Please come in. Jaden stepped inside slowly. His eyes scanned the tiny home, clean, but small. The ceiling fan creaked faintly. A pot of soup simmered on a small stove. He smiled faintly and greeted Mabel, who tried to sit up. Please, don't strain yourself, he said, taking a chair. I just need to ask you something. And I want the truth. Mabel's heart skipped. She nodded nervously. Go ahead, sir. Jaden looked at Rachel, then back at Mabel. His voice was calm, but deep. Is she your biological daughter? The question hung in the air like thunder. Mabel froze. Her fingers trembled. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the faint hum of the fan. Finally, Mabel spoke, voice breaking softly. No, sir, she's not my blood. Jaden's chest tightened. Mabel looked down, tears glistening in her eyes. 6 years ago, I found her behind a warehouse, wrapped in dirty cloth. She was barely a few hours old. There was a letter pinned to her blanket. Jaden leaned forward. A letter? What did it say? Mabel closed her eyes, remembering every word. It said, I am sick. I cannot raise her. I got pregnant from a one-night mistake at Royal Preston Club. I don't know the man. I never saw him again. Please, whoever finds her, raise her well. I have no means to care for her. Forgive me, a heartbroken mother. Jaden's body went still. Royal Preston Club. The name hit him like lightning. He remembered. Years ago, a night he had tried to forget. His friends had dragged him there after a tough deal. He drank, then felt dizzy, like something was wrong. His vision blurred. The next thing he knew, he had woken up beside a woman in a hotel room. He left before she even woke. He never saw her again. Never thought about it again. Until now. His breathing quickened. His mind raced. Could it be? He stood suddenly, almost knocking the chair over. I need to run a test, he said quickly. Mabel looked confused. A test? What kind of test? So. A DNA test, Jaden replied. I need to know. 2 days later, Jaden sat alone in his office, hands trembling as he held a sealed envelope. The walls felt smaller, the silence deafening. He tore it open, eyes scanning the words again and again. Paternity match, 99.98%. Jaden Williams is the biological father. His hands went cold. The paper slipped from his fingers. He covered his face, tears breaking free. My daughter, he whispered. All this time, she wasn't just a child who needed help. She was mine. Tears rolled down his cheeks. His heart broke and healed at the same time. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his car keys and drove straight to Mabel's house. Rachel was outside, playing with a small doll that Lizzie had bought her. She saw the car and jumped with joy. Sir Jaden. But he didn't smile this time. He walked straight to her, knelt on the ground, and took her tiny hands. His voice shook. Rachel. Yes, sir, she said softly. He looked into her eyes, those same eyes that had haunted him since the day they met. I'm not just your boss, he whispered. I'm your father. Rachel blinked. You're my daddy. Jaden nodded, tears spilling freely. Yes, my princess. I didn't know. But now I do, and I'll never leave you again. Rachel stared for a moment, then suddenly threw herself into his arms. My daddy, she cried, hugging him tightly. From the doorway, Mabel stood frozen, tears running down her face. Oh God, she whispered. Too. Jaden pulled Rachel close, his tears soaking her little shoulder. He held her as if the world could break apart, and he'd still never let go. My baby, he whispered, stroking her soft hair. No wonder I felt this way about you. No wonder I smiled again. I didn't know why, but now I do. We're connected, by blood. Rachel looked up, her eyes round with wonder. So, you're really my daddy. Jaden nodded and smiled through his tears. Yes, Rachel. I'm your real father. She blinked, then smiled shyly. Does that mean I'm not a street girl anymore? Jaden chuckled softly, his heart swelling. You were never a street girl, my love. You're my princess. Mabel couldn't hold back anymore. She cried openly. All these years, I never knew a day like this would come. I just couldn't let her die that night. I gave her the only love I had. Jaden stood, walked to her, and gently held her hand. You saved her. You raised her. You gave her a life. Now, you are part of my family too. Mabel's lips trembled. Thank you, so. Jaden wiped his tears. No, he said softly. Thank you. The sun had begun to set outside. A golden light filled the small room. For the first time in years, Jaden's heart was at peace, not as a billionaire, but as a father who had finally found what money could never buy, love. The next morning, Jaden Williams' group buzzed with tension. Every department, every floor, whispers filled the air. A message had gone out early that day. All staff, report to the main conference hall at 10 a.m. No one knew why. The large glass hall was packed. Managers, secretaries, cleaners, everyone was seated, waiting. The media had been blocked from entering, but curiosity burned in every face. Then, the door opened. Jaden Williams walked in, tall and calm, holding Rachel's tiny hand. The room fell silent instantly. Behind them stood Lizzie, smiling softly. Deep down, she already knew what was coming. Jaden walked to the front, took the microphone, and looked around the hall. His voice was firm, but gentle. I called this meeting because I have something very important to say. The members stopped completely. You could hear a pin drop. Jaden looked at Rachel beside him, then back at the crowd. You all met this little girl a few weeks ago, he began. She came into this building with nothing, no shoes, no money, just courage and a pure heart. Heads slowly nodded. At first, I thought I was helping her, Jaden continued, his voice softening. But now I realize she was sent to heal me. He paused, took a deep breath, and said the words that shocked the room. Rachel is not just a guest here. She is my daughter, my biological child. Gasps filled the air. Some people covered their mouths. Others froze in disbelief. Liz's eyes widened, her hands trembling. No wonder, she whispered to herself, tears filling her eyes. No wonder they were so connected. Jaden smiled, proud and calm. For those who mocked her, whispered behind her back, or called her names, I hope you now understand. Her strength, her light, her kindness, they come from within, and I am proud to call her mine. The entire hall rose in applause. Tears rolled down Liz's cheeks. Even some of the male staff wiped their eyes secretly. But in the corner, Cynthia sat still, frozen, speechless, and ashamed. Her heart pounded painfully. She couldn't hide the guilt anymore. Later that afternoon, Jaden sat in his office with Rachel on his lap. He was teaching her how to sign her name on a small piece of paper. Make your R bigger, he said gently. Like this? She asked. Perfect, he smiled. A soft knock came on the door. Cynthia stepped in quietly. Her eyes were red. Jaden looked up, his expression cold. What do you want? He asked calmly. Cynthia swallowed hard and stepped closer. Sir, I came to say I'm sorry. Jaden raised an eyebrow, saying nothing. I was blinded by jealousy, she confessed, her voice shaking. I let my emotions control me. I hurt an innocent child and judged her without knowing the truth. Please, forgive me. Then, to everyone's shock, she knelt down. Turning to Rachel, she whispered, Rachel, I was very mean to you. I'm so sorry. You're a brave little girl. Please forgive me. Rachel looked at her, then turned to her father. Jaden gave a gentle nod. Rachel walked forward, placed her small arms around Cynthia's neck, and whispered, It's okay. I forgive you. Cynthia broke down in tears. Can we be friends? She asked softly. Rachel smiled through her dimples. Yes. Thank you, Cynthia sobbed. Jaden stood, his voice steady. Cynthia, I'll accept your apology. But remember, kindness to the weak is the true test of strength. Cynthia nodded, wiping her tears. As she walked back to her office, she told herself quietly, I'll make it right. I'll be good to Rachel. And maybe, someday, Jaden will see me differently. That evening, Jaden made another move, one that melted hearts. He handed Mabel a set of keys. This is your new home, he said. Mabel blinked in disbelief. A house, she stammered. Yes, Jaden smiled. A beautiful one, in my estate. You deserve peace. He wasn't done. And I've given you a job at our foundation. You'll help manage the child welfare program. Mabel's mouth dropped open, tears filling her eyes. You're giving me a house and a job. Your family now, Jaden said warmly. And family takes care of each other. Mabel cried openly, her voice trembling. God bless you, sir. I don't know how to thank you. Behind them, Rachel ran through the new house, laughing and jumping. "Mommy, I have my own room, with flowers and curtains." Jaden laughed as she ran back and hugged him tightly. "Daddy, can Mommy stay with us?" Jaden smiled and touched her cheek. "Of course, my princess. Mommy can stay here as long as she wants, and you can visit her anytime." Rachel grinned widely and hugged him tighter. "I love you, Daddy. I love you more, my princess." Jaden lifted her up in his arms, spinning her gently as laughter filled the air. "I promise you, my daughter," he whispered, "I'll never let you suffer again." That night, the house was quiet. Rachel had fallen asleep on the couch, her tiny hand still holding Jaden's tie. Mabel sat nearby, watching them with soft eyes. Jaden glanced at Mabel and smiled. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for raising her when I didn't even know she existed." Mabel smiled through her tears. "She was a gift, so I only gave her the love I had." Jaden looked down at Rachel's sleeping face and whispered, "And now, she's my whole world." The room was peaceful, filled with gratitude, forgiveness, and love. Outside, the city lights glowed softly through the window, and for the first time in many years, the billionaire felt complete. Weeks passed, and life for little Rachel changed completely. The dusty barefoot girl who once walked into a billionaire's office begging for work was now almost unrecognizable. She wore a clean white and blue school uniform, polished black shoes, and carried a pink backpack with her name beautifully embroidered in gold thread. Rachel Williams. She was now officially enrolled in one of the best private schools in the city, a place where the children of ministers, governors, and top business moguls studied. On her first day, Jaden stood proudly beside her at the school gate, holding her tiny hand. His heart swelled as he looked at her. "Are you ready, princess?" he asked with a warm smile. Rachel hesitated a little, her bright eyes full of nervousness. "What if the other children don't like me?" Jaden knelt to her level, gently lifted her chin, and smiled. "They'll love you. And even if they don't, remember this, you are my daughter, and I love you so much." Rachel smiled shyly. "Okay, Daddy." He kissed her forehead. "Now go shine, my princess." As Rachel walked through the school gate, heads turned. Students stared at the new girl with neat braids and confident steps. Teachers came to greet her warmly. The school director had already told them who she was. Throughout the day, Rachel's kindness shone like sunlight. She helped a small boy find his missing pencil, shared her snacks with a girl who forgot hers, and even corrected a math problem on the board. One teacher smiled and asked gently, "Rachel, who taught you to be so wise and kind?" She smiled brightly. "My mommy taught me love, and my daddy taught me courage." Back at home, Mabel's life had also transformed. She now worked at the Jaden Williams Foundation, wearing smart dresses and speaking confidently in meetings. Her job was to manage a new project, a program to help abandoned children like Rachel once was. Every evening, she thanked God for how far he had brought her. That evening, Rachel returned from school bubbling with excitement. She ran straight into Jaden's mansion, her backpack bouncing behind her. The house staff smiled. They were used to her energy by now. Jaden had built a special room for her, full of books, toys, drawings, and soft golden lights. A small nameplate on the door read Princess Rachel. "Daddy," she shouted, running across the living room. Jaden turned just in time to catch her midi, laughing. "How was school, my princess?" "It was amazing," she beamed. "I got a gold star today." Jaden smiled proudly. "You deserve 10 gold stars." He spun her around playfully as she giggled and hugged him tight. The sight could melt any heart. That evening, as they were preparing to go out for dinner, there was a knock at the door. Cynthia walked in, holding a box of cupcakes. Her makeup was perfect, her perfume expensive, but her smile, forced. "Hi, Rachel," she said sweetly, handing her the cupcakes. "Thank you," Rachel said cheerfully, her hands full of icing already. Cynthia turned to Jaden. "It looks like you're heading out," she said casually. "Yes," Jaden replied, adjusting his cufflinks. "I'm taking Rachel out for dinner." Cynthia smiled tightly. "Oh, that sounds nice. Maybe I can join you both." Jaden looked up briefly. "Some other time, Cynthia. Mabel is coming with us tonight." The smile on Cynthia's face slowly faded. Her chest tightened. "Oh, I see," she said softly, forcing a grin. "Of course." She turned sharply, her heels echoing on the marble floor as she walked out. Outside, she paused by her car, clenched her fists, and whispered bitterly, "He replaced me with them." She sat in her car for a while, staring at the steering wheel, fighting tears of disappointment and anger. Inside, laughter echoed from Jaden's mansion, Rachel's voice ringing the loudest. For the first time in her life, she was happy, safe, and surrounded by love. And for Jaden Williams, no business meeting, no company deal, no luxury car could ever compare to the joy of hearing his daughter call him daddy. The evening breeze was soft and warm as Jaden's car pulled up in front of Luna Sky Restaurant, one of the most beautiful rooftop restaurants in the city. The golden lights from the building reflected off the sleek black car, and when the door opened, heads turned immediately. Out stepped Rachel, her tiny hand in her father's. She wore a lovely yellow gown with white shoes, her hair packed neatly with a bow. Beside them came Mabel, dressed in a simple but elegant peach gown. The fabric glowed softly under the lights, and her gentle smile made her look like a queen. For a moment, Jaden couldn't take his eyes off her. "You look amazing," he said quietly. Mabel blushed. "Thank you, sir." "No more sir," he said softly. "Call me Jaden." Rachel giggled between them. "Daddy, Mummy looks like a princess tonight." Everyone laughed, and just like that, the evening began on a beautiful note. Inside, the restaurant was quiet and classy. A waiter led them to a private balcony, with a breathtaking view of the city lights below. Soft music played in the background. Candles flickered gently on the table. Jaden pulled out a chair for Mabel before sitting beside Rachel. "Order whatever you like," he said warmly. Rachel pointed at the menu excitedly. "Daddy, can I have spaghetti and ice cream?" "Of course, my princess." When the food came, Rachel started talking endlessly about her new friends, her teachers, and how one boy called her the girl with the golden name. Jaden and Mabel listened, laughing at every silly detail. At one point, Rachel looked at both of them and said innocently, "You know, Daddy smiles more when Mommy is around." Jaden chuckled. "Is that so?" "Yes," Rachel nodded seriously. "And Mommy smiles more when Daddy talks." Mabel covered her face, shy. "Rachel," she whispered, trying not to laugh. Jaden smiled gently, eyes full of warmth. "Well, I guess your little eyes see everything." After dinner, they went out to the balcony. The city glowed beneath them, and the night wind carried the soft sounds of cars far below. Rachel stood between them, holding both their hands. "Daddy," she said, "can we take a picture?" Jaden smiled. "Of course." A waiter took the photo, Jaden, Mabel, and Rachel, standing together, smiling like a real family. When Jaden looked at the picture, something shifted inside him. He saw peace. He saw happiness. He saw home. As they drove back that night, Rachel fell asleep in the back seat, her head resting on her pink backpack. For a long time, Jaden and Mabel said nothing. The air between them was quiet but full. Finally, Jaden spoke. "You've done something no one else ever could, Mabel." "What's that?" she asked softly. "You brought light back into my life." Mabel turned to look at him, eyes glistening. "You and Rachel brought light into mine." Their eyes met for a few seconds too long before Mabel quickly looked away, her heart beating faster. Weeks turned into months. Jaden and Mabel grew closer with every passing day. They started having breakfast together, planning foundation projects, and picking Rachel up from school. Rachel loved every moment. Sometimes, she'd purposely run between them, holding both their hands together as they walked. Other times, she'd whisper things like, "Daddy, don't you think Mommy is beautiful today?" "Oh, Mommy, Daddy cooked breakfast again. He's trying to impress you." Whenever she said such things, they both laughed, but deep down, they knew the little girl was right. Love was slowly growing, quiet, strong, and undeniable. One Saturday afternoon, Jaden invited Mabel and Rachel to a charity event the foundation was hosting. The theme was Hope for Every Child. As Mabel spoke on stage about her journey, her voice cracked with emotion. "Years ago, I found a baby in the cold," she said, her eyes watering. "I didn't know where she came from, but I knew she deserved love. Today, that baby has changed not just my life, but the life of a man who had everything except peace." Jaden's eyes filled with tears as he watched her speak. He realized he wasn't just proud of her. He loved her. That evening, Jaden called Rachel into his study. She skipped in happily. "Daddy, what are you doing?" "Planning something special," he said with a smile. "For who?" "For your mommy." Rachel gasped, her eyes wide with excitement. "Are you going to buy her a new car?" Jaden laughed. "Even better. A house. Something smaller, but with a bigger meaning." Rachel tilted her head. "What's that?" "A ring." Her little mouth fell open. "You mean you want to marry Mommy?" "Yes, princess." "Yay!" she screamed, clapping. "Can I help?" Jaden smiled. "You'll do more than help. You'll be the one to give her the ring." A week later, Jaden organized a small dinner at home, just the three of them. Candles lit the dining table, and soft music played in the background. Rachel wore a white gown, giggling as she hid something behind her back. After dinner, Jaden stood up and took Mabel's hand. "Mabel," he began, "the day you walked into my life, everything changed. You gave me back my daughter, my smile, and my peace." Tears filled Mabel's eyes. "Jaden." He smiled and nodded to Rachel. Rachel came forward shyly, holding a small red box. "Mommy," she said softly, "Daddy said love means family, and you're ours." Mabel covered her mouth as Jaden took the box from Rachel, knelt down, and opened it. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring that shone brighter than the candles around them. "Mabel," Jaden said, his voice full of emotion, "you're the most selfless woman I've ever met. Will you marry me?" Mabel gasped, tears falling freely. Rachel jumped beside her, shouting, "Say yes, Mommy. Say yes." Mabel laughed through her tears and whispered, "Yes, yes, I will." Jaden slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into his arms. Rachel hugged them both tightly. "Now we're a real family," she said happily. Jaden smiled through his tears. "We always were, my princess, we always were." The three of them stood together in the warm light, holding each other. Outside, the stars glowed softly, witnesses to a love story that began with a child's courage and ended with a family's forever. And that was how a small Bayford girl walked into a billionaire's life, and ended up finding her father, her mother's happiness, and a home filled with love. Sometimes, God hides blessings inside pain, and turns the smallest act of kindness into a miracle. True love is not built on wealth or power, but on compassion, forgiveness, and the courage to see people's hearts instead of their past. Never look down on anyone. The person you ignore today might be your destiny tomorrow.
And don't forget to subscribe to Folktales by T Vibes.